You know, when Donald Trump got shot and he lifted his fist and said, fight, 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 that's actually preaching the gospel. One of the things that disturbs me on the right is the panic and despair and the clinging to conspiracy theories that sort of make you feel powerless and wild ideas that, that the end is near, and if we lose the election, we should have a civil war, and we can never defeat the media because they're going to lie about everything. And if we lose, haven't we lost the country? We're always saying this is the most important election of our lifetime. Who knows? Who knows if it is or not? I always like to quote Gilbert and Sullivan, two of the great, hilarious British operetta writers of the 19th century, and they wrote a song in a operetta called Iolanthe, where they say, "I often think it's comical how nature always does contrive that every boy and every gal that's born into the world alive is either a little liberal or else a little conservative." And the reason I quote that is because it suggests something that is true, that conservatives and liberals are the way they are because of their inborn nature. I think that's partly true. Obviously, there are other things. I'm actually a naturally liberal person, but logic has put me on the conservative side. But still, I think most conservatives have a nature. One of the things that conservatives have a nature for is seeing how things are intricately woven together so that if you pull one string, the entire suit might fall apart. And sometimes that actually does happen, but sometimes it doesn't happen. There's a lot of ruin in a nation, and a lot of things can go wrong before the nation falls. Now, here's what I want you to notice. I'm a guy who loves movies, and I especially love old movies. I'm always hammering the young people at the DailyWire, watch old movies. They go, but they're in black and white. I can't understand them. But still, you can understand them. Here's a funny thing I've noticed. In the movies, when a guy makes a sacrifice or a girl makes a sacrifice, we love him for it. We know he's the hero. Casablanca, the greatest American movie ever made. When Rick gives up the woman he loves, he becomes the hero.
Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
Field of Dreams. I don't know if you remember the scene where Burt Lancaster sacrifices being a famous baseball star in order to return to his career as a hometown doctor. It's one of the big sob scenes in the movie.
So what was that like?
It was like having this close to your dreams. And then watch them brush past you like a stranger in a crowd.
It's a Wonderful Life. You've probably seen at Christmas time. A guy sacrifices success and fame for family and friends. And so he never becomes as famous, never gets to travel the world. He never becomes as rich. He just, he's always living in a house that doesn't work.
Pop, I couldn't face being cooped up for the rest of my life in a shabby little office. No, I'm sorry, Pop. I didn't mean that. It's this business of nickels and dimes and spending all your life trying to figure out how to save 3 cents a length of pipe. I go crazy. I want to do something big and something important.
You know, George, I feel that in a small way we're doing something important. It's satisfying a fundamental urge. It's deep in the race for a man to want his own roof and walls and fireplace. And we're helping him get those things in our shabby little office.
All of these sacrifices we understand in the movies as being noble and beautiful. But in real life, we disdain people who lose the girl, who don't become as successful at their work, who don't become famous, become an obscure doctor in a small town instead of a big baseball star. I've never even heard of you. You remember, if you go online, you don't have as many followers as somebody else, and you're not, I don't even know who you are, And we even admire men who sleep around a lot and call them alpha men, which I think is really mistaken. And this is why I'm always hammering people who look down on mothers, because mothers do walk away from career. They do walk away from fame in order to sacrifice that kind of thing for a life of love, a life of generosity, a life of giving to other people. Those bumper stickers you sometimes see that bad girls, make history. Well, Hitler made history too. That's not necessarily a award. We disdain in real life what we admire at the movies. And this is true in the Gospels too. We admire Jesus for sacrificing his life. But in real life, we're the people screaming for Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Give us the guy who staged a revolt against Rome. Give us the guy who was killed, not this wimpy guy who won't even speak up for himself. The difference is this. In the movies, when someone makes a sacrifice, we see him do it. We see him become a hero. But in real life, when you make a sacrifice, sometimes nobody knows. They only see the price you pay. They only see the fact that you go to the cross. They only see the fact that you lose the girl. They only see the fact that you don't have as many followers on whatever your social media is as the guy, who didn't make those sacrifices. When you really make a sacrifice, when you die to protect someone, when your career is put aside so you can be a mother, when you do the right thing and it costs you your job, you speak up and it costs you your job, no one sees that nobility. That happens in private. That's something that, as Jesus will tell you, only God sees. This disparity between art and life is why people don't understand the real message of Christianity, which is that Christianity is not a practical religion. It's not a religion that promises you that things will go well if you do what Jesus says. In fact, it promises you will find a cross of some kind. Maybe that cross is less pay. Maybe that cross is losing a girl that you wanted. Maybe the cross is not getting the hot girl you could have because you're going to be true to your family and to your wife. Those sacrifices. When Jesus said things like, love your enemies, don't judge, which he did say. He said, do not judge. He didn't say, don't judge, but he said, do not judge. He says, if you love those that love you, what credit it is to you? Even sinners do that. Love your enemies. That's not good advice. That is not good advice unless you believe in developing your soul for something other than this world. I said at the beginning, politics is just an expression of this world. And sometimes you lose because you do the right thing, and sometimes you lose because you're in the right. So the question is, how are you going to live? Are you going to live upset every day that the world we live in is a world that's run by the enemy, right? Are we going to live upset that when we do the right thing, when we care for our souls, sometimes we pay a price? I mean, that's what the Bible told us was going to happen. Are we going to live upset about this all the time? Or are we going to fight the fight because it's the right thing to do, and fight the fight with gladness because it's the right thing to do? When Donald Trump got shot and he lifted his fist and said, fight, 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 that's actually preaching the gospel. He didn't say win, win, win. You don't know if you're going to win. That's with God. It's God to decide the outcome of an election. And that's why I don't like to hear conservatives panicking and complaining and moping, because the world is hard, because politics is hard, because people believe lies, because people do lie, right? And because people cheat and don't want you to be free. And they don't want you to be free. Kamala Harris doesn't want you to be free. The New York Times doesn't want you to be free. The elite doesn't want you to be free. They don't want you to have a voice. And they might win. They might win. But not today. Today we're still here. Today we have our health. Today we have our families. We have our God always. And we're going to fight, fight, fight. And that's the point. This is the day that we're given. We have to rejoice in it and be glad. And we have to fight, fight, fight. And that guy is great. You want more of him? Like and subscribe. And also subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.